Hello everyone, I'm Lisa Flint, I've just flown in. And today we are back with more Seduce Me 2, The Demon Wars. Last time we made some discoveries. My body's being possessed by a spirit. I may or may not be pregnant, we're not sure on that. Let's keep a pin there. And I picked my trainer. I am going with Sergeant, the Brute Demon. So now, let us return to the game. Diana nodded. Sergeant was the military commander, and I could tell he was strong just from looking at him. He was my best bet in learning how to defend myself. With that, Diana turned on her heel and left the room. Yeah, she's the queen and the general, and she's got things to do other than babysit me.
Finish eating. Afterwards,
yes, ma'am.
You should start training.
Yes, agreed. Because, yeah, in 2 Edition, we need to defeat the Demon Lord in order for me to get, my curse removed from me that the Demon Lord put on me. I need to be in the vicinity when he dies, so yay. Everyone in the room nodded their affirmation as Diana and Stadio left. Yeah. We'll be fine. We got this, right?
Well, it looks like we'll be busy for the next couple of days.
Yeah. Here we go.
This'll be fun.
Sam, you're the only person I can think of that says this'll be fun about fighting in a war.
Man, training's gonna suck.
Agreed.
It'll be worth it, though.
Yep, that too.
Damien's right.
Good, we're all in agreement then. As we all finished eating, everyone left to either train or do things on their own. I left to start my own work, determined to be prepared for what was to come. What about the incubi wives? Aren't they going to be doing anything? I don't remember hearing them saying they were also going to be trained. The Demon Lord wasn't going to win. I wouldn't let him. I chose to train with Sergeant. He seemed to be skilled in combat, and he was the commander of the main army, so I trusted him to train me to be strong and dependable. I didn't want to be a silent observer in this war. I would pull my own weight. Sergeant led me outside of the castle onto an empty training ground. Footprints and wear showed that the space was well used, but the only ones in the area at the moment were Sergeant and myself. The air seemed fresh, and the faint smell of flowers and fauna swept past my nose. And already, my nose becomes clogged just at mentioning those things. However, I didn't get time to enjoy the atmosphere.
Human, I will
Yes.
not waste my breath hollering at you like a soldier. But
Cool.
I expect you to listen like one. Now stop
Okay.
sniffing the air and face me.
Yes, sir. I quickly nodded and turned around to face Sergeant. I pressed my arms to my sides, ready and attention for the next order. Sergeant stared hard at me, making me slightly nervous. How was he going to train me? Sergeant began to slowly walk around my body, letting his eyes trail up and down my form in an analytical gaze. I stood still, not sure if he wanted me to follow along and knowing he would command me to move if I needed to. He remained silent, walking in circles around me like a slowly encroaching vulture. Not bad imagery, though. I felt a twinge of irritation at his lack of action. I was supposed to be training. Girl, patience is part of training. You know what? I'm just gonna remain silent and assume this is part of the class. I had to remain calm. He was probably figuring out what I could and couldn't do based on my body type. It was a smart thing to do rather than teach me something I might not be able to do. Exactly. Assume he knows what he's doing. What wasn't smart was feeling his hands push against my back and shove me forward, making me land on my hands and knees. Gah! Hey! I looked back, suddenly angry at Sergeant. What the hell was that for? I locked my arms with Sergeant, to see him crossing his arms and almost smirking down at me.
So you do have some rage in you. Good.
Oh, sir, I was kidnapped on my wedding day. I have a curse on me, so I can't go home, and I have a spirit that's using me as a battery. It also made me repulsed to my husband that I love dearly. I have plenty of rage. What? Rage? Was I supposed to be angry? I quickly jumped back onto my feet and stood up, brushing myself off as I glared at Sergeant.
Rage is a form of raw energy, wild like fire and tamed with patience. If used properly, rage can be very deadly.
Or very
Very
destructive.
few demons can harness it, but brute demons are the masters of rage.
Yeah, but I'm a human. I don't know if we've covered this already. I felt a little enlightened. Rage was also a form of energy, and I have plenty. I felt a small spark in my core, remembering how angry I was with Sergeant, and mentally noted that what I felt could be tapped into rage energy instead of just felt as regular emotion. Sergeant cracked his neck and let out a small sigh.
However, since you're a human, there's no guarantee that you can truly use your rage in battle. This is just a test to see what you can do.
Well, good thing for you, I have my number 2 pencils. Let's go. What if I can't harness it? Girl, wrong energy to bring into this.
Then you're shit out of luck. I don't have the time or patience to train you like a regular soldier human.
Fair
now
enough.
is your only chance not to fuck it up.
Exactly. So let's roll with this. I gulped silently. This was my only chance to try it? It definitely seemed like a challenge, but was I really up for it? Sergeant shook his head.
Humans are really easy to read. Don't doubt yourself just yet, human. You haven't even started.
Exactly. Looking up at Sergeant, I could tell that he was being genuine. Still, I wasn't sure that I was even able to do what he expected me to do. What could rage energy do anyway? That is a good question. I guess I would have to wait and learn. Sergeant rolled his shoulders and held out his hand, pointing it at a training dummy that was set up in the middle of the field. As his hand hovered in the air, it began to slowly emanate a red aura. I stared wide-eyed as it began to grow in intensity.
Watch closely, human.
Okay. And they're not gonna show me a gosh darn thing. Soon, a black orb formed right in front of his open palm, wrapped with the dark red lightning that seemed to arc over its surface. The orb grew larger and larger with each second that passed. As I looked over at the sergeant, I noticed his eyes were glowing a dark gold. His expression was full of anger, but his body was opposing the emotion on his face with a calm and concentrated stance. When the orb was finally reached the size of a basketball, Sergeant pulled his hand with the orb back behind his body and then thrust it forward, releasing the orb at his target. Like a lightning bolt, the orb flew forward and slammed into the training dummy, ripping it from the rod that was holding it up. However, Sergeant suddenly vanished from his spot and reappeared right in front of the flying dummy. What the? With a swift kick, Sergeant sent the dummy flying towards the surrounding forest. The unfortunate dummy slammed and nearly exploded against the base of the tree, breaking apart into pieces as it landed. It was shaking just from the sight. How did he? He's a demon and magic, and this is his specialty. Duh. Sergeant landed on the ground and turned back to me, walking away from the result of his attack, like a badass. He cracked his hands and rolled his head, stretching it, as if he was just warming up. Probably because he just is. That was so friggin' cool. Sergeant chuckled as he finally stopped walking. It was true, though. He was faster than I could catch, and powerful enough to practically demolish the dummy. I was curious to see what he could do when he wasn't just training or showing off. Sergeant then pointed to a second dummy and ushered me forward.
Now, focus on your rage.
'Kay.
You felt it already, but you
Yeah.
need to rekindle it and capture it in your hand.
Okay. Well, I have plenty to rekindle. You know, plenty of fodder for that. I don't know if I can put it into my hand. My hand? Sergeant nodded before reaching over and lifting my arm up, positioning it like how he did when he attacked the first dummy. It clicked. He wanted me to do the same thing he did. I looked at the back of my hand, suddenly nervous. Oh, come on. In some realities, we have magic. We got this. Would I be able to do the same thing he did? He was already trained in this and knew what to do. I was practically jumping into this without a life jacket. But that's when you learn how to swim. My nerves began to dance around as fear shook my core. I miss when I was competent last game. I super miss it. Even still, with rage, something I really want to try and use. Yes, endless well right now. It seemed like it was some sort of volatile power. Dangerous and deadly if not controlled properly. Well, that's anger in general, girl. Get with it. More so if I got used to my rage. Would I become dependent on it? Okay, that is a fair question. Was this something I really wanted to do? Yes. Yes, it is. Yes. If Sergeant believed I could control it, then I had to believe him. He was the master of that kind of power, so he would know better than me. If you were a demon, I'd agree with you, but you're not. But no harm in trying, right? I focused on the back of my hand, concentrated on trying to replicate Sergeant's attack. I tried imagining a black orb appearing before my palm and watching it grow, but nothing came in reality. I began to get frustrated. Come on, more anger for the pile.
Don't focus on the attack. Focus on your rage. Fuel it with reason and you will control it.
Cool. The burning flame in my gut began to flicker, reminding me of the anger I felt before. I quickly latched onto it, tightening my stomach and focused on making it burn brighter. I had to fuel it somehow. Oh, I have so much fodder, though. Think of the demon lord, think of the human world, think of your fiancé. I am gonna choose the demon lord, because fuck that guy. I felt myself begin to think of the demon lord, the bastard that brought me here for all the spite. And I was trapped here until we killed him. I was sick just from imagining his laughter, his dark voice in the air. The more he spoke, the more I wanted to end him with my own hands. I wanted to seal his fate myself and use my anger to show him who was stronger. I was forced to remain in this world, and I couldn't do anything about it until we met face to face. I wanted to go home, but my asshole, soon-to-be father-in-law, trapped me here. The more I thought of it, the more the flames within me grew. My body became warm, and heat surged through my veins in response. Ha 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 ha! Like I said, I have plenty of rage. Soon, my vision began clouded in a ruby haze, as if I was looking at the world through a foggy red goggles. However, the one thing that I was able to focus on was the dummy ahead of me, between my fingers, glowing in a strange black aura. Was this how the brute demons saw their enemies? Probably. The energy in my body began to slowly weave into my hand, forming a baseball-sized orb that slowly became bigger and bigger with each breath I took. I could hear Sergeant smirk behind me in pride. As the energy in the orb became almost too large to hold, I felt my body completely tense up and strange winds began to pick up around my body. I quickly brought up the orb back and roughly pushed it forward towards my target.
Now run at it!
Woo! At his shout, I quickly stepped forward. I began to hyper-focus on the dummy as my orb slammed into its torso and bent it back over its stand. I felt enraged that I wasn't able to break it off, adding to the energy burning within my body. I wanted to kick the shit out of it. Good. Good. I wanted to make it bust open like a piñata. If I had to do it with my own foot, then I would do it over and over until it was completely decimated like how Sergeant dealt with his own training dummy. I suddenly came face to face with it as I rushed at it. I brought my leg back and slammed it into the dummy's head, ripping it from its torso. The head flew back a couple of feet and skidded across the ground before rolling to a stop by the foot of a tree. I am the Rage Bunny. Bring it. My fury became out of control. I found myself becoming livid at the results of my attack, causing me to pummel a fury of punches into the remaining dummy torso, make it bounce off and slam itself into each impact. Ah! Sound effect. My knuckles and fingers were aching from each impact as waves of pain rushed through them. I didn't give a damn, nor could I find any reason to. My mind became lost in my rage that I continued to take it out on my non-living victim.
Hey!
Hey, you opened these floodgates. From behind me, a pair of large arms hooked themselves up from my torso and yanked me back, locking their hands behind my head and effectively holding my flailing and twitching arms in place. Still, the blood-red tint over the world didn't dull and my anger wasn't going away. I was pretty sure that I was foaming at the mouth. That's a visual, and I wish we could see it. But my overwhelming fury overcame all of my senses.
Breathe, you little brute!
Rawr. Don't wanna. My instincts began to kick in, forcing me to take in hard and deep breaths. With each inhale, my body became racked with shivering lattice of acid, and with each exhale, the flame within my core began to slowly die. After what seemed like minutes within Sergeant's arms lock, the red within my eyes vanished, and even the dribble around my lips seemed to have vanished, leaving me an aching mess of a being and causing me to slightly go limp in Sergeant's arms. I'm better.
There you go. Jeez, you've got a lot of energy for a
Thank you. I'm literally a human battery right now. I slowly looked back at Sergeant as he released me and stretched one of my arms up, causing my shoulder to creak and stretch out with an ache within it. I felt a bit embarrassed at what I had done, but as Sergeant stretched my other arm, he laughed.
At least we can skip to teaching you how to control your rage.
After this lesson, I feel like we might want to circle back to it. How did I do that? I felt out of breath as my body became overwhelmed with the dull ache, probably from me letting loose on the dummy. Sergeant gently tilted my head side to side to stretch my neck before running his knuckles over my back, working out the unknown knots in it.
Just breathe. When you're pissed, you take a step back and breathe. It's the same thing when using rage.
Good to know. Thank you. It seemed so simple, but if it got me out of the state I was in, then it was good enough to agree with and nod to an understanding.
Everything going fine out here?
I killed a dummy! Sergeant and I looked over to see Diana walking over to us from the castle door, crossing her arms and staring at us both.
We're good. We're just getting started.
We're very good. Look at the dummy I decimated.
That's good to hear. I'm on my way to the training block now to work with the troops and just wanted to stop by.
Aw, you're a good queen. As Diana nodded and turned, Sergeant suddenly stepped away from me towards her.
Succubus.
Her name's Diana. Or your liege, or my liege, or queen.
Doubting my skills as a leader already, Commander?
Yeah, it's not a good look, bro. I stared wide-eyed as Diana turned her head and looked at Sergeant with a stern and almost degrading gaze. What the hell? Where did that come from? Sergeant stared right back at her, but I could very faintly see his hand glow a soft layer of red before he closed his eyes and let it vanish with a breath.
No, I wasn't.
Okay, I don't believe you, but okay.
Then what is it?
Nothing.
Sergeant turned back to me and crossed his arms, obviously irritated at Diana, but somehow unwilling to fight her about whatever was on his mind. The sergeant turned away from her. Diana shook her head and started to walk away.
You forget who trained the rebellion before you came around.
Exactly. Diana finally left, disappearing into the forest. Sergeant, however, maintained a stoned, agitated facial expression. I have a feeling it's his default look. You know, some people just have resting bitch face. That was uncalled for, but it put a little perspective on things. She trained the rebellion before he came and took on the role of army commander. Sergeant shook his head.
Some training you did back then, Succubus.
Ahem. Problem, sir? Sergeant? Sergeant lifted his head to look at me before letting out a sigh.
What?
Why you dissing the queen, yo? Are you alright? 'Cause you don't sound like you are. He seemed a bit miffed, but the idea was crossed out of my mind when he scoffed and shook his head.
I'm fine. Let's just get back to training.
All right, sir. We continued to train through the day, switching between controlling my rage and letting it loose on the training dummy, or even a tree. Aw, don't hit the trees, they don't deserve it. The longer I went at it, the easier it became to control myself and come out of my frenzied state of mind. By the end of the training, I was able to do Sergeant's move, just without being able to knock the dummy off its post. That was infuriating, but I had to remember that I wasn't going to master everything. Nor was I strong enough in the first place. I was a human and not a demon after all, let alone a brute demon. I was learning how to better defend myself. Yay! Gold star, I accomplished something. I fell onto my bed exhausted. My body felt completely at the mercy of the fluffy mattress beneath me. Today was rough. Luckily, before I came back to the room, I had been shown bathrooms where I could relieve myself and bathe properly. Oh my god, I went this long without going to the bathroom? Ew! At least hygiene wouldn't be an issue. I sincerely hope we're not using chamber pots, because then hygiene might be an issue. I had bathed in crystal clear water before returning to my room and flopping onto the bed like a bum. Yeah, it feels about right. I heard the door open and close, followed by the soft pattern of labored footsteps walking around the bed and stopping on the other side. I knew it was Erik, but I turned my head to verify my guess. It was correct. However, I felt my face flush at the sight. Hello. Very nice. Erik was shirtless and his skin was beautifully covered in water droplets. His hair was damp and his breathing was labored. Sweetie, you want to go take a bath or something? He must have trained hard, if not harder than me at least, and bathed right afterwards. Okay, he did have a bath. Cool. Just making sure. Hi.
Good evening, love.
Good evening indeed. I could tell that he wanted to flop onto the bed and simply pass out. Hey, I don't blame him after our day we had. But something held him back. I tilted my head at him, making Erik smile.
I'm going over what happened today.
Okay, what happened today, other than, oh wait, crazy shit first thing in the morning? And?
Do you feel disgusted by me?
No, out of character. 100% no. I kept my eyes on Erik, letting my mind wander a bit over him. I still loved him and didn't feel the need to yell at him or push him away. I had to assume the spirit was still resting with Sario's attack. Nope. Erik nodded before climbing into bed and leaning back against the bedpost. You know what? I think after today we both need cuddles. Cuddle with him. I settled close to him and placed my head on his shoulder. Erik smiled and wrapped an arm around me, holding me close.
It's been a long while since I've trained like that.
Yeah, back when we first met. Since Malix, right? Erik nodded with a smile at me. I remembered back when I was competent. That damnable monster. He had wanted to kill the boys and even kidnap me as bait. Luckily, he didn't last long. During the time he was around, though, Erik had trained hard and done the best he could. I was kind of proud to see him going at it again. I yawned and got ready for bed. There was no use in prolonging sleep. The darkness welcomed me into its embrace as Erik wrapped his arms around me protectively. No. Tears are not gonna work on me. Huh? The cries of the spirit vibrated through my mind. I knew Erik would take a bit to enter my dreams, but I could only look around as the sound of the spirit whimpering echoed around me in the dark. Hello?
Go away!
You're in my body. You go away. Finally, the orb appeared. It wasn't bobbing up and down in the air like it usually had before. It was lying on the ground like a ball. Time to kick it! I walked over and crouched before sitting down in front of... Oh, why did I just kicked it? Maybe I could have kicked it out of my body. The sound of its whimpers made my heart hurt. Not really, no. Did Serio's attack really hurt it that badly? Yeah, if you're thinking. Even more than that, it was apparently a child. Yeah, that doesn't excuse it for hijacking my body and using my energy. Erik at least has permission. Don't say anything. I am sorry. I want to tell it get the fuck out, but it's not an option, so... And let's try being nice. I'm sorry?
No, you're not.
I'm really not. I winced a bit at its words. It was trying to be sincere, but I had to assume the spirit was too hurt to care.
Why did you do that?
Why are you in my body? We just wanted to try and get you out of my body.
Why did you hurt me?
Why are you in my body? You know, stop asking questions with questions. It doesn't help. Every word the spirit spoke felt like a knife through my heart. You have a weak heart. I didn't mean to hurt it, but we had to try. I was certain the intention of the attack was to expel the spirit, not hurt it. Well, it could have been both.
You're just like him.
Like who? Like him? You mean Erik?
No. The evil man.
Go on. Evil man. I stared at the spirit gently lifted itself off the ground and began to slowly bob up and down in front of me.
The evil man that killed me.
Okay. Okay, we have a mutual enemy, little one. My body froze as I suddenly heard the demon lord's laughter all around me. The voice bounced through the air, sending wave upon wave of fear through my body in an endless cycle. However, the spirit didn't react. Was the spirit causing the voice? Probably. The spirit lowered itself back down onto the ground and laid still, the purple aura around it still rippling around it. And again, bad writing, using around that close together twice in a row. Don't do that. It is hella awkward to read.
You're gonna hurt me again.
Maybe. Don't say anything. No, I won't. Well, let's see if we can continue lulling it. No, I won't. Maybe. Kinda. We'll see. I didn't want it to be hurt. Expelling it was one thing. Causing it pain was another. There had to be some way to force it out without hurting it any more than we already did. You're nicer than I am. Hi, sweetie. I felt a hand suddenly place itself on my shoulder, and the demon lord's voice faded into silence. I quickly turned to see Erik, looking down at me with a concerned expression.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm just hanging out with my ghost, like you do. Yeah.
The icky man is back.
Hey, you respect him, little ghosty. Erik ignored the spirit and gently turned my body to face him.
Don't listen to whatever that spirit says. We'll expel it soon enough.
Yeah, fingers crossed on that.
You don't care about her. You just care about babies.
Dude, you assume those two things are mutually exclusive. They might not be. I stared as, instinctively, Erik summoned his tendrils, ready to attack, but his expression melted into concern. Something was holding him back, and it made me be a bit worried. Was the spirit telling the truth? The spirit simply faded into the dark without controlling the conflict, leaving us alone. Erik?
Yes, my princess?
Nothing... Yeah, It's a valid question. I mean, it feels like we should have talked about this before we got engaged, but do you want me to be pregnant? Ugh, words I hope I never have to say in real life. I had to know. He reacted so violently towards the spirit at the mention of children. Eric's face, however, contorted from concern, it melted into a look of confusion.
Where is this coming from?
The paranoid little voice in my head. Mostly the spirit. I just want to know. Erik sighed and nodded, making a small lump in my stomach harden. He really wanted me to be pregnant? Before I could speak, though, Erik raised his head with a kind and soft smile.
I would be happy to have you bear my children and for you to be a wonderful mother, but not unless you want to. You would be the one bearing the burden the longest.
Exactly. Thank you, Erik. And this is why you're a good guy. My heart skipped multiple beats. I was shocked at his words. Erik continued.
In the demon world, it is a regular occurrence for incubi and succubi to breed as often as possible. It's only natural that I'd want children, Princess. However, you are a human, and even more so, you are the one I love.
Aww.
I obey your every command.
Aww. And that is why I adore this romance. Before my eyes, Erik slowly wrapped his arms around my form and kissed my forehead. The warmth of his embrace made my entire body melt, but I wrapped my arms around him in return.
We're not even married yet. We can probably wait until after we say our vows before we think about children.
True. By the way, does my phone have apps that track my period? I'm just curious about this. Maybe actually I'm one of those people that has a paper calendar somewhere in my bag. A small laugh erupted from me as I nuzzled Erik's chest. He was right. We didn't have to think about it now. No! We should totally be talking about this. I shouldn't have let the idea get to me. Also true, but you two really should discuss, do you want kids? If so, how many and when? Or do you just not want children? That's a very big deal. Right. I nodded in reply, just wanting to completely immerse myself in Erik's arms. The night passed by and morning rose to my surprise. I woke up alone. I scanned the room for Erik, but found myself in the room by myself. Again, writers, stop using words so close together. Myself by myself. You don't need both. Erik?
He left to go train with his brothers, sweetie.
Oh, thank you. Hey, you. I turned my head at the sound of Diana's voice. The door was open with Diana standing in the archway, holding a tray of pancakes. My stomach growled at the sight, but something in my heart felt giddy as well at seeing Diana with food.
Here, something warm today.
Ew. Thank you. Diana passed me the plate as I began to eat. I knew that I had to work hard myself today, so I needed all the energy I could get. Diana, however, watched me as I ate. As her gaze got the better of my nerves, I looked at her with a confused look. What?
Do you know the child that's in your body?
Do any of us really know the children in our bodies? I shook my head, making Diana press her lips together in an irritated line. I felt a little bad that I couldn't be more help, but the spirit didn't have a name, at least not one I knew of. Diana shook her head and leaned against the wall, crossing her arms and legs.
Well, we'll be able to expel it soon enough. I have
Cool.
Shadow in charge of figuring out how to sever the ties that spirit has on your body and forcing it free.
Yay! My mind instantly froze. My memory brought up images of the crying spirit and the tears it wept as I had entered my dreams. Would this new method hurt the spirit? Well, it bears asking out loud now that I've thought it. Will it hurt the spirit? Diana stared in shock at my question.
You're concerned for the spirit's safety over your own.
Hey, I'm concerned about both of our safety. Let's just put it that way. We really heard it last time. It was crying. Tana clicked her teeth and shook her head.
That spirit is clinging to you and using its emotions to make you feel sorry for it.
Exactly.
It wants you to love it, so you will let it stay in your body.
Exactly. Agreed. Now I just wish my character would see that. Airel, ... Was that really the case? A child who was hurt cries mostly when they are seriously hurting. But what if Diana was right? What if it was trying to manipulate me? Yeah, it's a demon child. They do that. Hell, even real children do that. Tears are the quickest way they can manipulate adults into giving them what they want or doing what they want. I say as an aunt of many, many times over. There were too many questions in my head. I shook out my thoughts and continued to eat, finishing the pancakes. But did I have syrup? More importantly. Diana pushed herself off the wall and began to leave the room, but stopped to look back at me with a concerned face.
Does the spirit ever enter your dreams?
All the frickin' time. Seriously, I've not had one good dream. Yes, it does. Diana stared at me for a moment, most likely trying to form her thoughts into words before speaking. When she did, I couldn't stop myself from going wide-eyed.
You know, there is a way we can stop the spirit from communicating with you until we can expel it.
Really? I stared in shock. Why wasn't this brought up before? Diana grimaced at my expression and sighed.
The spirit is a child, and is most likely repulsed by romance and sex. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah, a lot. Why do you think Erik is the icky man and I should not have told you that? Yeah, but what does that have to do with stopping it?
The spirit is feeding on and using your energy. The only way to stop it is to drain yourself of energy.
Okay. She wasn't serious, was she? She expected me to give Erik all of my energy? All the time? What about my training? Diana turned fully to me and crossed her arms.
Essentially, after training, give your remaining energy to your fiancé. Kiss, hug, fuck, it doesn't matter. As long as your energy is completely drained.
Gotcha.
You'll sleep, and because you'll have no energy, the spirit won't be able to appear in your dreams. You'll have an empty sleep.
Interesting. I am personally not opposed to this plan. It made sense, but at the same time, I felt a little out of place. Erik needed my energy to survive, yes, but to give him all of my energy? Part of me felt a little excited to do it, while the other side of me felt that it was completely wrong to give the energy for that reason. Really? I am down for this plan personally. Diana shrugged, breaking my thoughts and making me give my full attention once again.
It's up to you. We should have the means to expel the spirit in a day or two.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I was curious, however, why Diana was interested in helping me. She was already doing so much for me and the others by helping me get back to the human world. Before Diana could turn to leave, I stood up from the bed. Diana, why are you helping me with this anyway? Because she's not a bitch. She's determined, yes, to the point of ruthlessness, but that doesn't make her a bad person. Diana's gaze burned into mine as her expression softened. Something in her eyes showed a form of weakness, almost reflecting the eyes of an innocent child. What the?
You may not believe it, but I do actually enjoy aiding people.
Aww.
When I can, at least.
That's why you're going to be a good queen. I could only stare at Diana in surprise. I could tell she was being genuine just from the sound of her voice, and the look in her eyes made me feel somehow like crying. For some reason, I found myself dropping my empty plate on the floor and rushing to Diana, hugging her tightly. Diana tensed within my arms and stared wide-eyed at me. I couldn't stop myself from hugging her body. I mean, it is very huggable, don't get me wrong.
What the?
Agreed. I wasn't in control of myself. What was going on? Help me.
Dear, what are you?
I didn't speak again. I wanted to, but I couldn't. Was the spirit in control again? Diana finally relaxed in my arms and wrapped her arms around my form, petting over my hair gently.
How pitiful.
Agreed. With each stroke, I felt anxiety wane and clear from my body. From where they came, I would never know, but I couldn't do anything to allow it to pass. Diana seemed to be some form of comfort for the spirit. Maybe ask her if any children died in this castle? I mean, because we done her path earlier, we know she had a younger sibling that died here. Just saying, keep that in mind.
However you got into this body, we will free you, child.
Yes, yes, we will. I felt myself nod. However, I couldn't stop myself from feeling a strong energy pull from my body. Was Diana draining my energy? Attempt to pull away. You know what? You take as much as you need, my queen. She was taking my energy so that the spirit couldn't control me. I had to let her do it. I am Battery Woman! Much like the Energizer Bunny, I will keep going. As my body became weaker and weaker, the control of my body, again, people, stop with the repeating words, became more and more obtainable. Finally, my body felt light, but I found function in my nerves and limbs to function on my own coalition.
Are you yourself again?
I hope so. Yes. Diana nodded before releasing me and looking down at me. To my surprise, her eyes were glowing a bright gold, probably from the energy she had taken from me. However, it had to be done for me to regain my body. Nice touch, though, for eye going gold there and then back to its real... well, not real, but color it normally appears as. Diana's eyes returned to their normal red color, and she smiled.
For now, rest a bit. You'll be
Okay.
able to regain some energy and be able to train as if nothing had happened.
Yay!
As long as you're not brimming with it, the spirit shouldn't be able to take control of you again.
Is this gonna get in the way of, me rage training? Because I have a lot of energy when I do that. I nodded in reply, finding myself step back and slip back onto the bed behind me. I held my head, feeling slightly dizzy from the experience. The door opened and closed, so I assumed Diana had left me alone. My heart felt at peace for some reason, even feeling as weak as I did. Was the spirit appeased with Diana's intervention? I couldn't see why it would have been.
She's very special. That's why.
Oh god, you're still here. The echo of the spirit's voice reverberated through my mind, but as I waited for it to explain, no further response came. I let out a sigh. The spirit was gone for now, and I had full control. For now, rest until training. And actually, on that note, we're gonna cut the video here. So until next, tak like a tilak hiddo.